I'm like, well, I think he's not here. I think he's supposed to be at work, but come out if you agree with us, because I heard he agrees. Come out. Talk to us. Be a part of the movement. I don't know. So, yeah, I'm not scared to come out into the people in whatever way necessary. I think that's what really struck me. It's like, the entire world is on fire right now, right? And we're going to give raises to our police officers? Like, even if you want to do that, why right now? And you guys know that that went through a thousands of people in the streets of South Bend. You didn't see that, you didn't hear that, so it's like, yeah, all right, well, let's go to the next level. Let's let you know peacefully, or, this is what we do. So I think they're hearing us. You think they're hearing us? Yeah. All right. We're going to make sure they hear us, right? Yeah, that's right, exactly.
He said he was going to ask the mayor to put the bill inside.
Well,
he's going to make sure it happens.
Right. Well, and that's the thing too. It's like a lot of us don't know how the politics works downtown. Because sure, the mayor doesn't have to put it up. We could be in front of the mayor's house. Because it's like, who's responsible and who's being responsive to the people? Like, you got to do more than just tell us Black Lives Matter. We are with you. You show us through policy. You show us through making real change. And that's why we're here today, to make sure that they know. In case you forgot, we're just underscoring it for you. This is what your people are calling for. We elected you to be representatives of our world, of the type of community we want to build. So I'm not trying to make a speech. I'm trying to have a conversation. I'm going to slide in here. I'm going to do a second.
Today, we're activating our powers. We're asking for justice. We're not asking anymore, I'm sorry, we're demanding justice. And this is what a democracy looks like. This is what it looks like when you hold politicians accountable. Black Lives Matter had attended a few council meetings, countless council meetings. And at one of those council meetings, President Tim Scott asked to beef up policing here in this community. After the death of Eric Logan. So that's why we're here today. We want the police department defunded. We know definitely that there's existing trauma here in our community. We no longer want to be over-policed. So today we asked for our council to make sure that the bill was not passed through to promote police chief. Excuse me, I'm sorry, it's still like 0:00 in the morning. Thank you. So we asked that the council would not vote to give the police department a raise today. And so we're here to protest that today. We don't feel like the community, the South Bend Police Department deserves a raise when we have officers who still has not been reprimanded. We don't feel that they deserve a raise when we have black men being killed by the police here in South Bend. We don't feel that the police deserves a raise when you have police officers on the force like Nepper. We don't feel like it's worth investing in raises for the police. So today we ask you all to come out in solidarity to make sure that that bill was not passed, and also to defund the police department here in South Bend. Thank you for being here.
All right.
My name is Jordan, also a co-leader of Black Lives Matter South Bend, and I want to talk a little bit about the Movement for Black Lives campaign to defund the police. So I don't know if you all saw the incredible news out of Minneapolis, but the majority of, yeah, let's clap for that, right? Right. So a majority of the Minneapolis City Council voted to, they haven't voted yet, but have expressed a commitment towards, as was said, to dismantle, defund, divest from the police department, and to move towards community-led public safety. And that's what we've been calling for here in this community. Let's give it up for that. So that's what we've been calling for, really since last year, pretty strongly. After the death of Eric Logan, we went to a number of Common Council meetings, their budget hearing meetings, and we expressed that instead of funding more police in South Bend, because South Bend, they make the claim that our police force is actually understaffed. And we said, well, let's not hire more police. Let's hire more violence interventionists. And Regina actually raised this when she was a council member at the time during the hearing. And it struck a chord with me because Tim Scott, just probably a month before that, spoke at a Faith in Indiana huge big rally. It was about the Peacemaker Fellowship. You know, they had all 500 white people in the room. You know, everyone was feeling good. You know, they're making this call that, Pete Buttigieg, he wants to support the Peacemaker Initiative, but he's not able to, he's not able to do it because he needs the support of the council, right? And Tim Scott stood before those 500 white people and said, I believe that we should focus on rehabilitation and not incarceration. But yet just weeks after that, the meeting that those 500 white people didn't come to, that Faith in Indiana didn't come to, he outright said exactly what Kat said, that his neighbors were reporting that there was drug activity in the area, and he wanted to know how the South Bend Police Department would better work with the county in order to essentially police more folks in this neighborhood. As you can see, this is a nice, peaceful neighborhood. Yeah, it's being gentrified. We know that, but it's not a dangerous community. I mean, we're out here a lot, and so it's important for us to understand that we have to be organized. I've stressed that at pretty much every demonstration where I've been able to speak, is that we have to be organized. We have to go to these council meetings and speak up, and we have to say that Black Lives Matter. We have to say that we want to defund the police. Because when we put it out there, announced that we wanted to stop the police from getting pay raises, I had friends, people I was cool with, people I thought were my comrades, messaged me, well, what about the good officers? Like, what about them? They deserve a pay raise? Why should the police department get a pay raise when you just murdered a black man last year? And you've yet to accept accountability for it. You've yet to implement any real changes. You've yet to really speak to our demands. If you listen to James Mueller, there was a March prayer vigil with all the older black leadership, of course always centering white voices like they do. The mayor said, he talked about all these things that are in the works, right? Like, oh, we're working on these things, I'm really about racial justice. But he didn't say anything that he hadn't already said before. And if you notice that, the things that he talked about, the police matrix, the CP21, report, and a few other things. If you listen to what he said that already before. There's no new information provided. And I'm curious as to why, for the last 6 months, you've been saying the same thing. We're working on this, we're working on that. Where are you at with the police matrix? The last meeting was in November, December? Why don't we know what the police matrix is? Why don't we know how we are going to discipline officers who engage in misconduct? Why don't we have the CP21 report? We had asked for him to, asked for Mayor Pete at the time to fund an initiative called the Intercultural Development Inventory. And it's essentially kind of like a cultural competency test that kind of gets at the mindset of folks as it relates to intercultural awareness. And when we met with Pete Buttigieg, We had someone who is a trained IDI qualifier or someone who can administer the test. So we actually had 2 meetings with Mayor Pete. I think Regina led one, then myself and Emmanuel, we had another meeting and we talked about the IDI. And Mayor Pete said, well, the issue might be the cost. So we need to explore what the cost is. But then right after that, they asked for the council to pass a spending bill for $181,000 to fund this report, this study that we still don't have. Yeah, you could have funded, put up $60,000, hell out of his own pocket, really. Honestly, I mean, I've heard he's putting an elevator in his house right now. Like, that's $60,000. You could have put up $60,000 and we could have understood the challenges and barriers that our officers have as it relates to cultural competency. But he didn't want to do that, right? If you remember when he had a big town hall meeting at I'm tired, y'all, we've been marches together for, I'm sorry. When we had a town hall at Washington High School, while on the stage, he said, because Tiana said, get the racist officers off the force, right? And he said, if you can demonstrate that any of our officers if any of our officers show or demonstrate that they have some kind of racism, they're off the force, right? Okay, so it's hard. We all know it's hard to like prove that somebody's a racist if they're not essentially overtly acting racist, right? But we figured that with this IDI, if we understood the challenges that they had, almost psychologically, conscious or unconscious, then we can move them out of our communities. Okay, we don't need you to police the north side, the lake side, the southeast side, parts of the east side. We don't need you to do that. Let's move you somewhere else, right? And let's take the budget money that we have to hire more officers, and we can use that to hire violence interventionists. Last summer, in the wake of Eric Logan, we did some de-escalation. We had Black Voters Matter come down to support us, and we were over at Monroe Circle. It's a housing project here off of Western, and we fed people, we registered people in the community, we talked about voting. We damn near had a revival. People were crying. People were speaking out, you know, talking about the loss of their sons and what's going on in the community. And I'm trying to think about why I brought that up now. Yes. So we intervened. There was a fight that broke out after all this like peaceful protest. I mean, it was like crazy. Like the buses, like they have this huge, beautiful tour bus. They're going all over the country. The bus is pulling off. We're like, oh, bye. You know, like little kids, like, hey, bye. We turn around. There's 2 women throwing down, fighting. Like bad fighting, right? Like, so one woman got jumped and then her and her family went back and retaliated. Well, before they could go back and retaliate, we just intervened. We just stepped in the middle. That was it. We just stepped in the middle and we just blocked them, put our hands up, and it felt hot. Like they were telling people to pull up. I saw moms, grandmoms, aunties, I don't want to cuss, dudes coming out the house. Like, it was crazy, you know, but we demonstrated in that moment that we can truly control and police our own community. We don't have to have the police show up. As a matter of fact, when the police showed up, they actually escalated the situation. Did they not, Regina? They escalated the situation. You remember, Bernardo, the officer had an attitude with you, like, man, like, all we're saying is, don't go and talk to her right now because she's hot. Regina pulled her to the side. She's talking to her. We're trying to calm her down because we don't want her to incriminate herself. We don't want her to, you know, swing on the officer. By the way, y'all, there's coffee and muffins over here if you want any coffee. So that to me was just a powerful display of unity and community. And I think that could be done all over this city. Imagine when we look at these shootings over here on Bertrand and Olive, right? By the Bertrand gas station. Last 2 nights. I went out there the second night. I watched the videos on social media just like everybody else did. And I swear, I think if we had 50 organized people and we just went out there right into the middle of it, right? Like as they're arguing, as they're hyping each other up, ready to throw down, I'm telling you, we can de-escalate these situations. So we don't have 168 shots fired in less than 30 hours. That's what we have to do. We have to demonstrate power. We have to show what power looks like. We have to show what democracy looks like. But if we continue to let politicians like Tim Scott lead the way, then, I mean, it's over with. I'm going to be frank with you. It's over with. Tim Scott is not on our side. It's not. So he put out this little whack, I don't know if it was a press release, statement, or whatever. This is important for you all to hear. So after we made the announcement about this event, he put out a statement essentially saying that Black Lives Matter, even though you just tried to get the black people around here arrested, just last summer, right? But Black Lives Matter. He acknowledged the death of George Floyd. He said that it was wrong, and I can respect that. But then he went into this like, and this is typically what you hear. Anytime you talk to Mayor Pete or any of these politicians, they go into this whole bureaucratic process of, well, I'm the council president, and I don't vote in the committee, and I don't vote on this, and I don't do that, and you know, Mayor Mueller's the lead sponsor on this and this and that. And it's just like, you know what, bro, like, look, we know you in real life, like you really run shit, like in real life, like we know, we're aware. Like we go to meetings, we know who's pulling what. We know who stops things from coming up that we want to come up, right? And so we got to call him out. Now, this is a common tactic that politicians use in South Bend. So he says in there, well, I've asked James Mueller, the mayor, I've asked him to pull the bill because he has the power to pull the bill so it won't be voted on. No, we want you to vote no on the bill. Don't pull the bill. Demonstrate that you have solidarity with us. Vote no. Shoot the shit down. Can we say that? Shoot the shit down. Shoot the shit down. Shoot the shit down. Right. So we want you to vote it down. Don't have Mueller pull it because if they do, oh, we're gonna pull it. Okay, look, we did something great. We're nice white people. We pulled the bill. Right? Nobody has to vote. We're gonna give it more time and have more. They love to say that more public discussion. We need more public. Like, motherfuckers been talking since last year.
Amen.
How much more public discussion do we need? How much more public discussion do we need? We don't need any more goddamn public discussion. It's simple. Vote no. We don't need any more public discussion. Vote no. So you all should know that we did get a victory. So let's clap for that. We did get a victory because guess what? The South Bend Common Council, if it comes before them, from what we understand, a majority of the council will vote no on that bill. A majority will vote no on that bill. So I want to thank you all for coming out here because it's the power of the people that makes change, not the politicians. I'm tired of, I don't want to like go on and on, but I'm so tired of hearing, oh, you know what you got to do? The most important thing you can do is go vote. Vote for what? What are you voting for? Who are you voting for? For what? Look at what the fuck these Democrats are doing to us. Every city you see, these are democratically controlled cities. They're controlled by Democrats. Democrats are not on our side, okay? So don't just think, oh, okay, we got to vote, go vote Democrat, just hit a straight ticket. Like, no, you need to vote for who represents your interests. And if they don't represent your interests, then don't vote. You have the right to do that. I'm telling somebody who's a political science major, you have a right to do that. There's nothing wrong with not voting. I just voted for the first time in 2018. Political science major. Who the fuck am I voting for? Obama wasn't representing me. You know why? Because I watched Mike Brown get shot and killed. We watched Tamir Rice, 12 years old. Right? We watched all these black men get shot and killed, and what did he do? He put up some federal funds that can go to cities and this and that. What did that do? He put out a report about 21st century policing that called for, it had some good things in there, called for more community control of police, citizens review board. All of that is great. But what did you really do as the first black president in the United States? What did you do? Oh, I couldn't do anything because the white people are not going to let me do it. The Republicans won't let me do it. Who cares? We need you to stand up. We're getting shot down in the streets. We're watching kids get murdered on TV, on Facebook. That's crazy. Our kids are literally traumatized. At the march yesterday, I had 3 little kids sitting next to me, and I went and introduced myself. you know, I want to thank them for coming out and, you know, encourage them to get involved. And he was, you know, one kid, he had to be like 12 or 13, and he was just like, you know, I had to be here because I don't want to get killed. I don't want the police to kill me. This is wrong. And his friends were saying the same thing. This is wrong. Like, I want to get involved. Like, these are little kids. So is that the country that we want to live in?
No.
Is that? No. What? Do we want black children to grow up afraid of the police?
No.
Too late. They are. Too late.
Amen.
So what we got to do is we got to organize ourselves. We need you all to stay involved. If we show up, just like y'all showed up here, 7:45 a.m., this many people, if you showed up at 4:30 p.m. at the county city building, right, and you came to that committee meeting, because where all the action happens is in the committee meeting. Once you go to the 7 o'clock meeting, it's pretty much done. It's over with. They've already voted. You know, it's moved out of committee. Oh, we can't do it because it's disrespectful to the person, the chair of the committee, if we vote against it, yada, yada, yada. No, show up for those committee meetings. Because if we come this deep, we're filling up the whole room. And they will be scared. And the media is at every single one of those meetings. So you need to show up and show out. So today we're going to have a protest at the county city building at 3:30 p.m. The reason why we're having that is because we want to force the council to vote no. We know that we can't go in there because of CDC regulations and social distancing rules. And so we're going to stand outside, and they know that we're going to be out there. And we're going to chant, and we're going to continue to educate ourselves, and we're going to talk about what we need to do to organize ourselves to make sure that the police don't get this raised. Because I'm telling you, Mueller might pull it back. He's arrogant. I know Mueller. I know Mueller, the mayor. He's arrogant. I'm telling you, he's stubborn. So he might not. He might not pull it back, because right now they're all trying to kiss the FOP's ass. Raise your hand if you know who the FOP is. Okay.
Can you get rid of them too?
Man, I'm telling you.
Right.
Chris, would you mind saying a few words about the FOP and why it's important that we monitor and watch the FOP? Would you mind? By the way, y'all, there's hand sanitizer down here too. Muffins, coffee, cards, if you want to stay in contact with us.
My name is Chris Kozlowski. I'm an attorney here in town, former deputy prosecutor. Worked in Indianapolis and here in South Bend. So the FOP is a fraternal organization, but it's also a labor union. It holds a really weird place in American history because it's different than any other labor union. In many states, there are statutes that enshrine the power of the FOP and protects it. For instance, in Indiana, any changes that come to how policing works or discipline for officers, it has to be approved not just by your elected politicians, it has to be voted on by a majority of the members of the union, of the FOP. So no matter what power we show here, no matter what assertions we make to the Common Council, they can still vote it down. Now, when was the last time any of you voted for a member of the FOP board? Never, right? So we have this body that's outside of the public scrutiny that has the power to veto any changes that the public demands. The public that is policed by them, they have the right to veto it. So that's one huge problem with it. The other problem is they spend a lot of money. The FOP spends a ton of money on politicians. They donate right, they donate left, they don't care who they donate to.
He's endorsed by the FOP.
Yep.
Tim Scott is endorsed by the FOP, the same organization that just last year demonized Eric Logan, called him a thug, called him a criminal. That's who he's endorsed by. But he's supposed to be on our side, Black Lives Matter, but you didn't renounce that endorsement though. Come on.
And that's a good point with the endorsements and the reps. How many of y'all are on Twitter and seen what some of these FOP reps have said in recent months, years? I mean, going back generations. These union reps are some of the most backwards, cops out there. And within that organization, you also have, as I said, it's a fraternal organization as well. So it's a social organization. So not only do you have them asserting for, police officers at the workplace, you also have internal control over other police officers. Because what do you think happens when a police officer complains? What do you think happens when someone stands up and tries to do the right thing, the quote-unquote good cop? They get blackballed. They get shut down. They get ostracized by the rest of the members of the social club, the FOP. They have buildings, 2 buildings, one Mishawaka, another South Bend. They hold, events there. They do social events for the officers. What do you think happens if you're the one who's the squeaky wheel? What happens if you're the officer who complains? You're not welcome there anymore. So you've been shut out from your peers. You've been shut out from the people who are with you on the front lines as a police officer. So they can't complain. How many of you have heard of the NYPD tapes? So the NYPD tapes were a giant scandal in 2009 is when it started. There was the good cop. This cop saw that they were being pressured to go out and essentially falsify arrest reports to meet a quota. He stood up and he said, no, you can't do that. What ended up happening to him is the NYPD and his brothers, quote unquote brothers, forcibly committed him to a mental institution. And he was there for months. They raided his house. They took him out at gunpoint. The officer who was leading him out said, get him out of my face. I'm tired of seeing him. That's how they treated their brother. They treated him for being paranoid. They treated him for being for having conspiratorial thoughts, that everyone was out to get him. But guess what? They were out to get him. And he had the receipts. And that's how he was eventually vindicated 5 years later. Because he had recorded all of his supervisors, all of the other officers talking about falsifying, going out and arresting young black men, going out and harassing them in the street with stop and frisk. Those tapes are one of the reasons that stop and frisk in New York, where it was eventually shot down. But it took him 5 years to be vindicated in court. It took him 5 years for a court to say, no, that was wrong all around. And what changes happened because of that? Nothing. NYPD is still as violent and still as racist as they've ever been. Because that's what the power of a good cop is. And that's what we're fighting here with the FOP. This organization is one of the hardest obstacles for this movement to overcome, but it's possible. Minneapolis is doing it. The way they're going to do it is they're going to shut down the entire Minneapolis Police Department. The reason why they're doing that is because if there's no MPD, there's no union contract. There's no union contract, there's no protections, they can make the changes. This happened in a couple cities in New Jersey as well. They shut down the local police department, reopened it under a new name. The union contract doesn't apply. We can do the same thing here in South Bend. So, they're a big problem, they're a big obstacle, but they can be overcome. They just want you to think that they can't be overcome because they've got people in Indianapolis from Podunk, Indiana, that's never been to South Bend, never been to India side to vote from things. They have them putting these things in statute that protects the FOP. It doesn't have to be that way. We can make that change on the local level. We don't have to worry about what the Republican politician from Podunk, Indiana says. We can make this change ourselves. Is that?
Yeah, thank you. So again, that's it. So again, that's important information because also everything's happening this year, I'm telling you. City of South Bend is renegotiating its contract with the FOP. So this is why we have to be involved right now. We have a police complaint board bill that has been put before the council. Before it is passed, there will be a series of meetings. Kat, do you have those dates for those meetings? Because we didn't want to announce that. But you know, if you come at 3:30, we'll make sure that we get that information out to you later today. Do you have the dates? Okay, just a second. So we need people to be involved in this process because we have to make sure that this police complaint board bill passes. Not as it's written right now. We want some amendments, right? So we want to see that majority of the representation on that board, and it's important, each member of the board is appointed by each common council member. We need to make sure that the districts, the areas, communities that are most policed, that they have the greatest representation on that board. Why is that important? Because they are most likely to have the most interactions with the police. They are most likely to understand what is happening in their communities. Who's being harassed? Who's being followed? Who's been beaten up? I can't tell you how many black men have seen me on TV, seen us on TV, and have come to us expressing their profound appreciation for what we're doing, telling us stories. I had a man just last year who was talking about this NEST team, this narcotics team, this narcotics task force, and how aggressive they were, how they used excessive force, and they operated at night, and how there's such a problem. We need to make sure that they don't, that organization or institution does not. So we have to make sure that that task force, that we monitor and watch it. The only way that we can do that is, again, by showing up at these meetings, these common council meetings. We have to know where to apply pressure, and that's just one pressure point, right? Because we're outside of his house. And we got this idea from LA. There was an incredible organizer named Melina Abdullah. She's a leader in Black Lives Matter LA, which is the largest Black Lives Matter chapter. She's someone I know just by way of my work in political science. She's a black political scientist. And she was actually one of the 30 core members who founded the Global Black Lives Matter Network. So when the Eric Logan situation happened, I hit her, I was like, man, could we get you to come here and just to, you know, move people, motivate people to organize, motivate people to get behind Black Lives Matter and help us to uplift Eric Logan's name. And so she flew and we had incredible events, and we had a sit down, and she said, you know, you need to bird dog Mayor Pete, which is what we did. We ran around the country bird dogging Mayor Pete during his presidential run before he dropped out. And she also said, show up outside of his house. Show up outside of his house. Now we know, I mean, Mayor Pete really, like, he wasn't here. You know, even though he was getting paid, but he wasn't here doing his job. So that's why we're outside of Tim Scott's house. Because he wants to deflect and make it seem like, well, I'm just going to encourage the mayor to pull the bill. But really, he just wants him, he's really just trying to put it off on Mueller so he doesn't have to say, oh, no, I don't fuck with the police. Because he fucks with the police. He's supported by the FOP. Can I hear a fuck 12? Fuck 12. 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 So he's asked Mueller to pull the bill so that he can shield himself from any criticism. And he's trying to put it on the mayor. Now, I don't know if the mayor will pull it or not. If he does, I think that's great. Because, again, they don't get that raise. So I'm all for that. We don't want more money going to the police. But truly, I don't want Mueller to pull it. I want to see that a majority of our council, since you released that beautiful statement saying that you are all for black lives and you're for black people, even though nobody wants to say black except us when we show up to the meetings. Nobody says black, ever. People of color, struggling communities. We don't, all the code words, everything but black. We want to see you vote no. Show us. That's why Henry Davis Jr. didn't sign that statement. He's not into the fluffy statements. No, we pass policy. We're legislators. Let's change laws. Let's change policies. Let's do what the fuck we were elected to do. So that's what we need them to do. Vote no. Don't have Mueller pull it. Show up. Show out. Pull up. Show us that you really are with us. If Black Lives Matter, vote no. Tell the police, no, fuck y'all. Y'all not getting a goddamn raise. The fuck? No. So I want to thank everybody for being here. I want you all to please stay involved, continue to follow us. Again, we're going to be outside the County City building at 3:30. We want to get everybody in here organized. Please email us. I know we've gotten like 1,000 emails, so I'm still replying to emails, text messages. All of us are. We're trying. Like, we're overwhelmed, right? And it's great. It's great to be overwhelmed. We've been waiting. We've been out here struggling. Man, where everybody at? It's 5 people at the Common Council meeting. Goddamn. What about Eric Logan? Who's showing up? We got 500 white people at a church clapping for fucking Pete and Tim Scott. Well, who the fuck is showing up for Eric Logan? But we showing up for Pete. We showing up for Tim Scott. We giving him praise. We're giving him a platform for what? For what? Just so they can go downtown because they know nobody's going to show up to the goddamn meeting and say, oh yeah, we need to lock these niggas up. Shut this shit down. I don't want to see no niggas out here hanging out on their porch, drinking, minding their own goddamn business. No, we need to lock them the fuck up. That's what they're saying. Lock us up. But y'all don't want to lock up the goddamn officers who beat Deshaun Franklin in his sleep when he was 17 goddamn years old. You don't want to lock up the motherfucking officer that shoved a fucking straw down Michael Anderson's throat and he died in police custody. You don't want to fire the goddamn officers that beat a 7-Eleven clerk up, made him do the cinnamon challenge, and he has cognitive disabilities? What? Aaron Nepper is still on the force. Aaron Nepper was there that night when Ryan O'Neal shot and killed Eric Logan. Aaron Nepper put a 6'4", 6'7", I don't even know how big 5'9" is, huge black man in the back of a small ass police car and took him to the hospital. They call it load and go. And we've raised issues around policies and procedures. We've gone to a number, there was 8 or 9 community action group meetings that they had throughout the community, and they asked for our perspective on police policy and procedure. And people came and they showed out, and that was good, you know, but we still haven't gotten an answer. We still don't know what's being implemented or not. We saw a set of recommendations issued, but we don't even know what the hell is going to be implemented. Nobody wants to say any goddamn thing, but they want to put out a motherfucking statement talking about Black Lives Matter. Show me. Show me. Policy. Where's the policy at? Why ain't y'all firing these bitches? Why ain't y'all firing them? Why the fuck is Aaron Nepper still on the goddamn force? Why? Why? He beat up a 17-year-old fucking black boy in his goddamn sleep. Violated the constitutional and civil rights of his family. Illegally entered their home. And what did they get? 18 motherfucking dollars. In total, 18 goddamn dollars. 18 goddamn dollars. And that man is traumatized. That when he was 17 in 2012. I met him in 2016 when the federal grand jury rendered the decision awarding them 18 goddamn dollars. I remember we went to WUBS. He was brave enough to conduct an interview. He was crying the whole time. He talked about how he was afraid. He was so traumatized. He was afraid to leave his own goddamn house. We got Father fucking Jenkins at this prayer vigil yesterday. Talking about Black Lives Matter. Ain't put up no money. Ain't made a donation. Ain't done shit. But Deshaun Franklin, at 17 years old, he was working at the University of Notre Dame. He was actually working, I think, in the bookstore. Do you know they threatened to fire him when he had to go to his court hearings? Do you know that? No, you don't know that. They don't want you to know that. They don't want you to know that shit. But they claim that they're with us. Father Jenkins claims that he's with us. Are y'all paying reparations, Notre Dame? Y'all stolen land. Y'all stealing the east side. Y'all stole homes and property from black people. Took our shit. Paid us cheap. We know y'all niggas starving. Let's go ahead and give you a little $15,000 for the house. Let's take what you got, so now you can go and fucking rent. Because you can't buy another house with $15,000.
Say again.
Unless you get a raggedy house that you have to flip, and you have to have money to be able to do that. So they know what they're doing here, man. This is all orchestrated by people like Tim Scott. They've been at the helm of this destruction for years, and we have to push back. And we have to let them know, like, if you don't hear us at the goddamn council, guess what? We're going to pull up at your motherfucking house.
Come on.
We're going to pull up outside of your house. We're going to let all your neighbors know.
you and fuck well. Fuck him and fuck well. So I want to thank y'all for being out here, and I would like to, I really want to hear more people to just get your reaction on how this week, how these events, how they have impressed you, how you've been moved by them. I'm wondering, is Nadia here? Did you want to say any words? Did you want to say anything? Look, this is a 16-year-old high school student who occupied the goddamn street on Friday, shut shit down, was going in. I had to get in there. I'm like, damn, like, who the fuck are you? Let me try to clean this up.
My bad, everybody.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
I just wanted to say, well, I haven't prepared anything, so this is off the top of my head. Right here? Okay. So, I'm sorry. When you have 600 good cops and 10 bad cops, and you don't prosecute the other 10 bad cops, you have 610 bad cops. And I love to see that everybody out here is of different color. Like, we need that. We need to come together. We need to become one. Because they hate to see that. They want to see us by ourselves. They want to see us struggling. So when we come together, we're stronger. That's right. But this is not right. And to the people who are like, all lives matter, we're not saying your life does not matter. I'm sorry, this thing is weird. Yeah, but I'm going to say what I said at the last protest. When you have a house that's on fire, the firefighters are going to come and set that house out, right? They're not going to spray every other house because their house doesn't need it. We are in need. We're not saying that life doesn't matter, but when you guys constantly keep taking our lives, that makes us in need. We're not saying your life doesn't matter.
That's right.
I just wanted to let that be known because there's so many people who say all lives matter and they really don't know what they're saying. They don't know what it means. So I just wanted to let that be known. When you say all lives matter, it's a protest against our protest.
That's right.
We need to come together. We need to stand together. Thank you.
Black women on the front line. 16 already started. Give it up. 16. That's movement. That's what movement does. It should inspire you to act. It should inspire you to get out in the street. She took over the street. I was like, damn. I was scared. Can we get somebody else? Do you want to say something? You got a lot to say. Yes, you. Yes. Yes, please.
Everybody hear me?
Yep.
All right, so I'm from the city of Goshen. I'm Jesse Moore.
Hey, Jesse.
I'm 25. Well, I've had the privilege of being silent until now. So I'm speaking up. I feel a personal call to engage in and create space for dialogue to occur between white people who don't think that this is a problem. Sorry, I'm losing my voice because, like, you know.
Everywhere, marching everywhere, man.
But look, like, I lifted up the voices of this movement, and I mean, I love my family, but I've basically been disowned. Like, I'm not going to family events anymore.
We love you.
You know, and that's right. And that's the thing. The solidarity between black people and white people, all people are colored. Like, that needs to be lifted up. You know, and as someone from Goshen, I had a police officer message me personally on Facebook saying that he did not care about my opinions. Saying that systemic racism within the police force is a myth. That is a myth. That officer needs to take one of those tests that Jordan, you're talking about, the IDI test. And, you know, for all you white kids and older white adults, like, this is everybody's movement, you know, Black Lives Matter. So, like, don't be afraid to speak up. Engage your other white family members, your other white people you know, who don't see the real issue. And furthermore, like, if you're young, we are the future. You guys are the future. We are the wave. So keep the wave going. But, and hear me, be cautious in what you say, because your words matter. Be cautious in what you say and how you act politically. Do so with a sober mind. Do so with a pure heart, and make sure that it's motivated from a place of love, you know? Because if there is any percentage of hate in our voice as we protest against hate, so make sure that it's coming from a place of love. Organize, you know, people in Goshen, we need a chapter there. I feel bad sometimes because I'm the white dude that wants to start a chapter, and I'm not the only one. There's other young people in Goshen. But, like, get a hold of me. Let's do this. Let's start anti-racist coalitions in our cities that directly engage with our mayors, with our city councils. We are the future. We are the way.
Hello, can you hear me? Yep. Can we get somebody from Sunrise Movement? Sunrise Movement? Where are you looking up? Sunrise Movement? Sunrise Movement? Neither one of you want to talk? You want to say something? I see you everywhere. Rage, right? Like, right? Am I doing this right? You want to show?
We can't hear.
Can everyone hear me?
Yep.
Can everyone hear me?
Yep.
All right, nice. Yeah, I'm Kamal. I'm a South Bend native. I'm a part of Sunrise South Bend, and I don't have anything prepared too. But yeah, so essentially,
what's Sunrise Movement?
Yeah, so Sunrise Movement is a nationwide movement, mostly of young people, to fight for climate justice. We're advocating for the Green New Deal. For a long time, especially in Sunrise, we've done a lackluster job of really showing up for the community. And right now, it's time for communities or organizations that are not necessarily in the line of racial justice to join and fight as well. So yeah, a big part of Sunrise is that climate justice is racial justice. They go hand in hand, you know? You know, in South Bend, it's African American communities, black communities, where there's lead in the water, you know? It's black communities where the effects of air pollution, water pollution, stuff like that, it gets felt first. And so before we can fight for something like climate, we need to fight for racial justice. And so that's what we're here for. We need to come out, show up, and yeah, that's all I have to say.
And they message me like every day. I so appreciate you.
Fix it forward. I know you got something. You always got something to say. Come on, every morning. So, come on.
Fuck Tim Scott, fuck the police, not all that stupid shit y'all trying to pull, and it ain't working no more.
All right, well, I'm kind of disappointed that the generator went out because I was about to call Tim Scott. Hey, I got a cell phone number. I want to hit up Tim. I need to know if he's going to vote no. Don't y'all want to know? Yeah. Right? Yeah. Don't y'all want to know?
Yeah.
He's elected, right? Yeah.
Call him up.
Call him up, put him on speaker.
He gets scared, nigga.
Just leave my voicemail.
Everybody say you're trans. No.
Hey, Tim, this is Jordan with Black Lives Matter. We're outside your crib right now. We got a good crowd of people, and we all wanted to leave you a strong message so you know where we stand, and we hope that you truly stand with Black Lives Matter and that you have real solidarity. So I think everybody wants to say it.
Vote no!
Hey, have a good day at work. Is there anything else? Anybody else want to say anything? I mean, we just want to open up this space. If not, we're going to talk a little bit about the upcoming meetings around the Citizens Review Board or the Police Complaint Board bill, and we'll close with our Asada. Again, we're not going to hold hands, but we always recite the words of Asada Shakur. So she's a warrior queen and a true revolutionary, and she is a mother of the movement. So did anybody else want to say anything on your heart? Yes, absolutely. Please, thank you.
I'm pretty loud, so I think I'm going to skip the megaphone if everyone can hear me.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, so yesterday I had to call my mom out for being racist, and it was awkward as hell, and it was weird and emotional, but that's what we all need to be doing, because we need to make these people embarrassed. For years I have sat and listened to her say racist shit about Hispanic people, about black people, just about people that she doesn't understand. I've heard her mock people, and she doesn't know. She thinks it's okay. My mom's also mentally ill, but that doesn't make it right either. That being said, that's just a little side note. Basically what I'm trying to say is, people like that, even people who make microaggressions and they do shit wrong, my mom cares about people. She needs to be educated. Now's not the time to scream at people and cut them off. Like Nadia was saying, like Jesse was saying, it's the time to educate. These people, we don't need to get them on our side because they're already on our side. We need to make them understand that the narrative that the media is showing is not right. And that when they say all lives matter, their intention is what stands with us. Like what Nadia was saying, they don't understand what it means, and we need to make them understand so they can make their generation understand, because they are going to listen to their own generation way better than they're going to listen to any of us, especially if we're not related to them. So don't stop talking. Don't stop. It doesn't matter if it's awkward. We need to do this. I've been silent for too long, and that's part of why there's a problem, because I never called her ass out.
When I say fists up, you say fight back. Fists up, fight back. Fists up, fight back. Fists up, fight back. When I say all power to the people, you say all power to the people. 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 Thank you. Anybody else? Anybody else? Is something on your heart you want to say? Nothing. Are you sure?
Love you.
Thank you. You want to say something? Please, come up.
Hey guys, my name's Avery Worrell. I used to be an employee at Martin Supermarket. Local businesses that say they care about our community just sit in silence and think it's okay that so many people have a problem with this statement that's on my mask, that they had to complain to like record numbers. Now there's a record number of complaints against Martin. You can't stop just because we're getting stopped. You know what I mean? We are just getting there. I challenged with ABC 57s, I challenged all local businesses to put a Black Lives Matter sign in their entrance to show that they are a store where we can know that everyone is allowed to shop at.
Right on!
Hey, Black Lives Matter!
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 Black Lives, they matter here!
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 Fists up!
Fight
back!
Fists up!
Fight back!
Fists up!
Fight back!
All power to the people!
All power to the people!
All power power to the people. All power to the people. All power to the people. All power to the people. I got one more. I'm going to say, don't arrest me. I want you to say, arrest the police. Don't arrest me. Arrest the police. Don't arrest me. Arrest the police. Don't arrest me. Arrest the police. 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 Fuck the police. Fuck Tim Scott. That's what I want to say. Yeah. Loud and clear. Black Lives Matter.
Hey, George.
Oh, go ahead, yeah.
Can I say one thing?
Yeah, go ahead.
Hey, I'm just thinking about this because there's a lot of white folks here.
Can you introduce yourself?
You know something? My name is Ethan Rose. I work at Coquilla. Real passionate about restorative justice and racial justice. And just, I thought of this right now because I just said this to somebody yesterday. You know what fucks white people up? When you talk about privilege that you've experienced or that your family members have experienced, and they don't know what to do with it. Like yesterday, I have 2 black friends who've been arrested on their porch for drinking on their porch.
Right.
I have 3
talking about
3 fucking white family members who drove drunk, totaled their fucking car, could have killed 30 people with what they did, and ain't none of them received any sort of anything for that.
Right.
Fucking nothing.
Yeah.
Right.
The most recent one, not only did that family member receive no sort of reprimand whatsoever, they got $15,000 insurance money for their car, and they fucking went home. And they had to go pick up their phone from evidence. Yeah, and I say that because I think in these past few years of like, y'all know, white people say one thing with black people and they say another thing with white people.
Yeah,
and that's it. And I cannot do that
it.
anymore.
Good. Good. Thank
And
you.
I know a lot of us
Yeah.
are feeling that way.
Thank you.
And it's gross that it took this long to feel that way. And it's gross that it took this long for me to stop just walking away because I'm like, what the fuck is this dude saying? Like, I need to say something back to that dude. I know we all feeling that way. But I think over these past few years where I've just been woken up to my own shit, I've seen that fucks white people up quite a lot. They don't know what to do with that. I'm like, I got black friends getting arrested on their porch, and I got white friends could have killed 30 people and they just went home. Some cop, for real, not the one I was just talking about, but the one before that. Some cop who was drinking at the bar, dude crashed by, called another cop to come take care of it before anybody else knew. And that happened, man. Those cops didn't know that dude. That dude was white. That's it. That's it. And I don't know, I encourage white people real hard to think about your own shit. White people love to say, oh, but I work hard too. I know y'all have heard that.
Yeah.
And I fucking can't with that anymore. And I know a lot of us feel that way. But white people love to say that. What they don't love to do is look at that shit.
Right. That's right. That's right.
You know, my dad, I grew up on the Northwest Side, all right? I've always lived on the Northwest Side. My family's always lived on the Northwest Side. And it wasn't until my mom got remarried and she moved out to North Liberty and I had to go out there. And I had all black friends in one neighborhood and I had all white friends in another neighborhood. And I had all black friends in one school and I had all white friends in another school. And I thought, what is up with this, you know? And I was a kid, I didn't even know. I just thought, what's the deal with this? That's all I had. That was my tool set at the time, was to think, what's the deal with this? And I had friends who couldn't come out. Like, I was the kid who, like, friends couldn't come to my house because I lived on Lincoln Way, right? And white people won't say that, but that's just how it was, you know. And I'm not complaining, but what I'm saying is, like, when I look back on that, what I'm saying is that even as a white dude living on the Northwest Side, my dad was an alcoholic for years. It's what ended up killing him, all right? My dad probably drove drunk 10,000 times. You think that? And I love him to death. He was cool as hell. But you think that motherfucker ever got pulled over on the Northwest Side? He didn't. White people don't get pulled over on the Northwest Side. That's it. I've been pulled over a lot of places, never on the Northwest side. And I don't drive no better over there. But I feel like, cause there's a lot, I wouldn't have said nothing, but I feel like there's a lot of white people here, and I feel like it's something I would encourage you to think about, because other white people don't know what to do with it. It gets real quiet, and I think that's real important.
Yeah.
Anybody else?
Yeah. Hey, I just want. I need that mic. Can you guys hear me?
Hear you.
Okay. So this month, I know a lot of people are looking to support black people who own businesses, and it's hard to find them. So if you can get on the Black Lives Matter chapter for South Bend, if you know personally someone that owns a business and is black, please put that plug in for them, because it's not only about, you know, doing what we're doing today. This is like moving forward kind of shit, you know. So
this is a black-owned business right here. This shirt. If anybody wants this shirt, it's a black woman who makes the shirt. Yeah. I'm sorry,
No, that's all. It's all. So support black businesses.
Absolutely. These are your streets.
Our streets.
Whose streets?
Our streets.
Whose streets?
Our streets.
So I wanted to say, we're real vocal about the looting, but silent about the murder. Right?
Come on.
Y'all love to talk about how this looting is so bad and all this other stuff, but it's materialistic. That shit can be rebuilt, that can be remade. Yes, it's going to take a long time, but these lives are not going to be rebuilt. We are not going to come back. The lives that are lost are gone. You guys are so worried about all these businesses because America runs on money. They don't give a fuck about us. They don't. They care about the money. Like, it's not even just America, the whole world. Like the Australian fires, that was pretty much set and planned. If you go on there and look and type in the wildfire that happened in Australia, it's a map and it's a trail. If you keep looking, and I swear I'm not making this up, I can pull it up. You'll look at the trail, and then you can type in Australian new train plan. There you go. And it's like the same exact path that the fires were. It's because they need a train for the trade, because it's all about the money. They don't care about us, they care about the money. Right? So we need to educate ourselves. We need to become aware that they really don't care about us. It's all about the money. All about this materialistic stuff that we can't even take with us when we die. Right? We need equality. We need love. This world needs love. It's so sick. And my grandma asked me the other day, she was like, Nadia, why do you feel so strong about this? Like, yeah, it's because I'm black and I wanna be alive. I don't want nobody to kill me. But there's more to it. When I was young, and they used to tell me there was racist people and there was racism and all these murders and sick people, pedophiles, I would think, there's no such thing as that, because I thought everybody was like my family and like me. Like, we all were great people. We loved everybody for who. We never looked at people for who they were. We loved to see people like, we're not going to see their past or anything. If we heard something about them, it didn't matter. I thought everybody was like that until I went into the real world and I actually seen there were really sick people, and I don't like that. I wish the whole world could be with love and equality. We need that. Without love, there's nothing. Without communication is key. If we don't make our voices heard, nothing will change. That's right. Yes. And people are so upset about the riots and stuff. Y'all are so mad about the stuff we're tearing up. We have every right to burn down a country we built for free. Yeah. Say it, girl. Say it. We've tried to be peaceful for years, and we still haven't got anything shaken. We're still marching, we're still peaceful protesting for this, for nothing to happen. But the minute we start acting crazy, guess what? We got some justice, right? Yeah. We're starting to get justice. Right. I want to see justice for Breonna Taylor. Right. We're not trying to cover that up. Right. We are not. This is not just for the movement or for the hype. We're not gonna talk about Black Lives Matter because it's viral right now. We need to keep doing this 24/7, 25/8, 365 days a year. This is not okay. We have to come together. And what if my church say yes? We can't do a sir. When I get 18, I'm voting. We have to make a change, guys. This is not okay. That's all I wanted to say. I'm sorry.
No, right. Thank
We need to acknowledge that. We need to acknowledge what she said, that this violence has always been here. This country is founded on violence.
We learned violence from them.
Right.
That's it.
Right.
Who watch Hidden Colors? Have you watched that yet? You need to watch that.
So, can I just one more chance?
Good job. Good job.
I've been wanting to do this chant for a minute. I've been wanting to do this chant. So when I say we're on stolen land, I want you to say built by stolen people.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
We're on stolen land.
Built by stolen people.
We're on stolen land.
Built by stolen people.
We're on stolen land.
Built by stolen people.
We just need to acknowledge that. We need to acknowledge the Potawatomis. We need to acknowledge the indigenous people who are native to these lands and who have been murdered, who are still fighting genocide. We look at the Pokagons. We see that they have casinos and we think, oh, they're popping. No. Like, all of this shit is theirs. What the fuck is a casino? All of this shit is theirs.
Thank you.
So you guys, we are at a time in our lives where defunding the police is not even a game anymore. This is something that we should take seriously because we all know that these police officers once were slave catchers. That is the actual history of policing. They were used as slave catchers to return slaves back to their masters. Jordan and I and many other Black Lives members sat at council meetings and they talked about this house right here. All of these people were put out of this house right here. Why? Because they were black.
Yeah.
Why else? Because they sat on their porch and drink.
Yeah.
But then when I go down the street this way, I can watch this white man sit on his porch all day and nobody got a problem with it. I have a problem with politicians that move into urban neighborhoods and gentrify it by putting out the people that's been in these homes for years. I have a huge problem.
Amen.
I have a huge problem with politicians who sick the slave catchers on people that been in their communities for many of years to get them removed from their homes. I have a huge problem with that. How about y'all?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So this is why we're here today. Because if you don't like it, you move the fuck out.
Right. Get the fuck out. Get the fuck out.
Because we ain't going nowhere.
Get the fuck out.
The sense of entitlement has to be done away with. You guys, Eric Logan was killed June 16th, 2019. His anniversary death is coming up again. They tried to slip this bill in thinking we weren't paying attention. And they're going to try to slip it back in when they think we're not paying attention. And they're going to vote on it. But we're here today because we've already put them on standby that we'll watch. We're watching. We're watching. They're not just going to slip it in. June the 16th, Charles Martin Center, there will be discussions on the Civilian Review Board. That is also the Death Day.
Is it Charles Martin or Charles Black?
Charles Black, I'm sorry, thank you. Charles Black Center. That is also the Death Day of Eric Logan. Is that by coincidence? We don't know. But these things should be taken into consideration before you just tell people what they need to be doing. Because what we need to be doing is paying homage.
That's right.
What we need to be doing is filling these streets up.
Yeah.
For Eric Logan. So some of us will be out paying homage, but we will not drop the ball on this discussion. I urge all of you to be there. And like Rihanna said, tell all your white friends to pull up. All of them. Because when Black lives under attack, we stand up and fight back.
That's right. That's right.
And we're under attack. And we need all of you. We need all of you to stand in solidarity with us as we continue to fight for justice, continue to fight for policy changes. It takes every last one of us. We're here. And so, this is just the beginning where we pull up to our president of our council, whoever we got to see, whoever stands in the way of justice, we'll pull up. Justice will not be denied any longer. Thank you.
What's the time on that discussion?
Oh yeah, I'm sorry. So the Charles Black, that is 6 to 7.
I think it was 6 p.m. Yeah.
6 p.m. to 7 or 8. Also Boheme Park. Y'all know what I'm talking about, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Also, the 18th, they'll have discussions regarding this bill that's getting ready to be passed. That's also at 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. I urge you all, again, if you cannot attend the Charles Black, be at Boheme Park. Bang.
Bam.
Bang?
I don't think nobody.
The park.
Help me out, y'all. It's Bang? Okay. If you cannot be at Charles Black, be at Bang Park on the 18th, June 18th at 6 p.m. These discussions are pivotal for our future here in South Bend. Please be in attendance. Thank you.
And also, too, just to clarify, the Charles Black Center, the event at the Charles Black Center on the 16th at 6 p.m. The Charles Black Center is on what we call, affectionately called the Lakeside. So it's the far west side of town. It's on West Washington Street, West Washington Falcon. So please just make sure that you pull up. We need to fill up this space. And Regina, Regina was a sitting councilwoman. She can tell you, if all y'all come to these council meetings, shit is gonna change. Shit will change because they operate off of nobody showing up. They know it. That's why Tim Scott can stand up in front of Faith in Indiana and 500 white people and say, absolutely, I believe in rehabilitation and not incarceration. Let me go and sign some shit that don't mean nothing. Piece of paper that they didn't put out for us so I can look good and white, you know. But then a week later, he's talking about lock these niggas up around here. And I swear to you, within that week, the meeting was what, Monday? By Thursday, the police was already pulling up.
With their guns.
With their guns. And we had to tell people, like, look, they about to come out here, and I'm telling you. But I mean, what? Because people want to sit on their porch in their yard and drink? This is summertime. That's what we want to do. Kick back. Shit, we stressed. We black. We want to kick it. We've been in the house cold all winter. Like, we can't come out and drink. We can't, you know what I'm saying? We trying to get our melanin popping. Like, come on, like, let us do us. Yes, please, yeah. And can you talk about the power of people showing up at the council? I think people
Yeah,
can hear
let
from
me
the council.
tell you. Sitting up there, I don't know how many of you have ever been to a council meeting. Raise your hand if you've been to.
Yeah, raise your hand if you've been to a council meeting.
So you've seen
Not a
how,
lot of
you know, even the way it's set up. It's set up so like you guys are so far away from the council people. It's just like gives them all of this kind of protection and this cushion, like being far away. And then you get like at the end, you get like 3 minutes to say whatever you want to say, and then you're cut off and just like bye, right? But I have to tell you, being up there, you can just feel the energy. And I don't know if you noticed that people be looking at each other, because depending on who comes in the room, I mean, we're terrified. We're like, oh shoot, who didn't I call back? Oh no, what did I do? Somebody gonna call me out. And so it matters. It changes things, you know, when you call people out. Even at once, you know, this whole bill was going on and everything. All of a sudden, like I had sent out
it was about the bill, right?
About the bill. I'm like, hey, I heard this is going on. I just want to know where you stand on it. Didn't hear back from anybody. Till finally Sunday, I got a couple of calls. But what I understood from you listening was after they got my text, they were like, oh, what's going on? I mean, some of them didn't even really know what was coming up on Monday. And I guess they got together and they were talking like, how are we going to respond? What are we going to do? It's that pressure that makes people take action. Because if we hadn't come out, if we hadn't put pressure on them, they're very well made it just, it would have passed. It would have just come at force in front of them, rubber stamp, moving along. Yeah, police, yeah, we should pay them because we love police. They're first responders. They're essential workers. Yeah, let's give them some money. Without a thought about, and this is why I don't understand, how is it so disconnected from, did y'all just see like thousands of people in the street, like in South Bend? Were y'all not listening? You didn't see that, you didn't hear that, you haven't seen the whole world is on fire, and we're asleep at the wheel. So I did get some responses back, but I have to tell you, it was when, and it's this level of accountability. I mentioned it at the beginning. I got a lot of people concerned, oh, why are we going? I don't know about protesting in front of somebody's house. Well, I tell you, I've been an elected official, and I welcome that. I need to know what people think, because it's my job to respond. And this doesn't have to be, I mean, if you agree, because we got a little notice that said he agrees and he would, whatever, well, then come out and meet with us.
He didn't say he was going to vote no.
He didn't say he was going to vote no.
Mueller to pull
That's
it.
true. That's true. And he said Black Lives Matter, and he was going to ask him.
Back the police.
Right. He said right. So the issue is, this is what we're supposed to be doing. As we said, this is what democracy looks like. So this is the president of the council. We know where he lives. We need to let you know, because obviously you didn't hear us when we were downtown marching. So maybe we need to bring it a little closer. You know what I'm saying? Because they're elected to represent what we want. Now, I want to share with you a little bit. I'm a teacher, been teaching South Bend schools for 20 years. And all right, yeah, it's great. But, we have police in schools. And I'm here to tell you, it's problematic. We've been fighting these issues for years. I don't know, it's probably 5-7 years ago now. You might have heard. I'm just going to give you one example of why it's problematic to have police in schools, and then I'm going to talk about what's starting to change because of you, because of this. So years ago, one of the big issues, and Trina was there, Tiana was there, they give tickets in schools. Did you guys know that?
No.
Did anybody see the articles in the Tribune? There was a series of 3 articles back in the day. Well, let me tell you what was going on. I had a student who I ran into. Hey, how you doing? He was 21. I knew him in middle school, and it was like, okay, cool. And I don't know how we got on it, but I found out he was driving without a license. And I was like, man, you can't be driving without a license. Like, if you get pulled over, da. He was like, yeah, miss, but, my license was suspended before I even got a chance to get it. And I was like, what are you talking about? He said, my license was suspended because I got in a fight in 5th grade. And I was like, what? I'm thinking, no, you're just confused. Literally, I was just like, let's go figure this out. So literally, put him in my car. We drove down to the B&B. He printed out a report. And sure enough, it said, license suspended for failure to appear.
Oh, my gosh.
He had gotten into a fight, and what the policy is, you get into a fight in school, real police officers can give you a real citation. Typically, it's $150 for whatever the infraction is. Now, a lot of our kids, we don't have the money to pay that. Our families don't have the money for that. Not only do they not have the money, but we at work, whatever. So the mom didn't make it to the court hearing. So here this child is in like 5th grade. Okay, how old are you in 5th grade? I don't know. 10 years old. He was 12 years old, so maybe it was 6. I don't know. And his license got suspended because his mother did not show up in court. And the way our policy works is that if someone doesn't appear for their ticket, it goes downstate. The state just automatically suspends your license. So he grows up, he gets 16, 17, trying to get his license. No, I'm sorry, you can't get your license. And you got fines, and you got fees for not paying this. Doesn't make sense. I heard that. I went immediately to school, and I was like talking to did you know that when we give kids tickets, it goes on their record? Oh, no, it repercussions have on people's real lives. You know, and when you talk about school to prison pipeline, that's exactly the kind of thing. It's a direct connection. This child is 12 years old and he's already lost his license and on his way. He's trying to get to work, but he doesn't have a license, but he's got to drive. So these are the part of the problem. So we fought that. We raised awareness of it. Tribune finally took us seriously, put some things in there, and we got that policy changed. Hallelujah, thank God. That's great. Never should have been there in the first place. It went down to the DMV in Indianapolis because they realized that, oh man, we never thought about that. We don't check the ages on these things. We don't check, you know, because it just goes in the system and it's treated just like an adult. So that got changed, but the thing is, it is still happening. They're still giving tickets. What I heard, you know, it's all this well, later on, what we heard is the police were like, well, we write them up, but we don't turn them in. We just use it to scare them. Why are we scaring children? Why are we scaring children? It's not okay. It's not okay to be an officer in uniform with a gun and you're a 10-year-old kid and you're saying, I'm writing you up. Oh, I'm threatening you to do the right thing. That's problematic. But this is what's happening to our kids in schools. Time after time. And one thing you don't know, I'm sorry, one more quick story or scenario. Children as young as 5 years old are having the police called on them in South Bend schools. What? They are zip tying children as young as 5 years old because the handcuffs are too big and putting them in police cars and taking them home. That is happening here in South Bend. Fuck that. That's right. That's right. This is not acceptable. Now, as you heard, what's Minneapolis too that took them out of schools?
Yep.
Okay, you heard about that. We talked about that. Minneapolis has said, we're not going to have police in schools. Stop that. We're not doing it. You're gone. That's where we need to go. That's where we need to go. Now, the good news. I had to leave the protest because I had a team meeting. I had to jump on real quick. I was so excited. I'm now working for the Empowerment Zone. And my supervisor, without me even talking about it, he said, you know, Regina, I heard you're working with Black Lives Matter. I'm really interested. I want to get involved. I want to make sure that the zone is in line with supporting Black lives. And he said, I was just on a conference call with the Department of Justice, because y'all know the Department of Justice is investigating South Bend schools, right? Yeah. So we need to know that we're getting ready. CAFE, Community Action for Education, is getting ready to have a Zoom meeting. We'll let you know when that is. We're getting the lawyers here so everybody can give input. But he said he was on that call, and he said, we have to focus on Black boys in our district. We have to support them. And he started a racial equity committee. This is what we're talking about in terms of change and being upfront and being honest. He said, we're not hiring security guards. We're not. We've got peace builder coaches. And they're not about monitoring and forcing compliance for kids. They're about checking in with them, being a resource for them. They're being taught strategies and restorative practices so they can learn to self-regulate. That's what we're talking about in terms of defunding the police. We're going to replace all those systems of oppression and compliance and control with systems of support. That's what we're about. So the Empowerment Zone is leading the way in providing and changing the systems, getting the police out of schools, making sure they haven't, let me be clear, I'm not announcing that the Empowerment Zone is getting police out of schools. That has not been said. But we're transforming the way in which we interact with our children and our families so that we can be more equitable and supportive and make sure that our children learn. The education system in this country is the first line of colonization. It's the first line of programming, and it's the way in which our kids are being treated with emotional abuse. And I could go on and tell you stories, and I'm not going to do that. But what we need from you is we need you to show up. When we have school board meetings, let them know that we need restorative practices. Let them know we've been fighting, Tiana, with, just like the police. We need to assess their cultural competency. We need to assess the cultural competency of our teachers, of our administrators, you know, those police in schools, all of us. We need to look at what we're doing. And we're seeing some glimmers of hope that this is going to happen, but this is the kind of thing that needs to happen to make sure that our leaders know that that's what we need. We need the intercultural development inventory. We want our teachers to be assessed in terms of their ability to interact with children, because when I get emails from a kindergarten teacher that cites the Indiana state law that says this 5-year-old is intimidating me and I have the right to have him removed from my class for up to 5 days because I feel threatened by a 5-year-old, that's problematic. She's a racist. Racist. So that's the kind of thing that the intercultural development inventory will help us assess, because we don't just then know where people are, but we can create a plan for improvement. So anyway, police are in schools. We need to change what we're doing, and that's what I'm about today. Thank you.
Real quick, because I think this kind of ties back to the overall message of why we need y'all to get involved. So I met Regina 4 years ago. I got activated. I moved back here. I was down in St. Louis and Ferguson, going to grad school. You know, like many of y'all young people here, I was like, I need to hit the streets. I just need to hit somebody. You know, I just need to go in. So I eventually moved back here after a year of being down there, and I met Regina, and she started talking to me about the issues in the schools. And there were 2 board policies that were put before at the time. I can't remember the numbers of the policies, but if I remember correctly, Regina, they were essentially about truancy. So if your child showed up late to school after so many times, they would have both their driver's license and their work permit revoked. And so what we did was we started doing what we're doing right now. We started holding teachings, we held protests, and you can look this up. I mean, we did a number of things. And I remember we showed up at one board meeting and we told everybody to wear black. You remember that? We told everybody to wear black because we were just on one. And, I mean, we were like younger. I mean, I'm 29. I was younger back then, fired up. And we showed up 50 something deep. I just remember seeing a sea of black behind me. And she had a police officer come up to her and said, oh, like, we heard they were going to come in here and just like tear stuff up. Which I wish to do that. But I knew that wouldn't be the most effective tactic. But when we showed up, that got voted down. It eventually got voted down. And I'm telling you, like, they yelled, so I'm going to touch on that issue of voting when I talk about some Democrats. So my friend Alexis, who's a public school teacher, who was at the forefront of this fight when we were working with Community Action for Education, or CAFE, he got yelled at by Stan Rubel, who at the time was the board president, like he was a damn slave. I swear to you. Yeah, I mean, just yelled at him. Told him, shut up, be quiet. Like he was literally like he was a fucking slave. I'm telling you. This man right now, do you know this man is the chair of the St. Joe County Democratic Party? No. This is your Democratic Party chair. And former board president. Right? But what we did was, Olitha, who was leading us in that, because she laid it out like the young people here clearly look. You know, y'all need to listen to what they're saying. We decided we were going to run her for office, and we were about to knock Stan's ass off. And we did.
We won!
We won. We knocked him off.
The sitting president of the school board went down. It was awesome.
So that's why I say when you vote, you know, vote for people who are going to represent your interests. Olitha Jones, if you look at her name, she's clearly the most vocal school board member. She had been out there for what, 50 years? 50 years. She didn't never miss a school board meeting.
She was just saying that her children, she was fighting. She started the fight and to look at the practices from South End schools when her children were here. And now she's fighting those same issues with her grandchildren. But now she's fighting from the inside. She's on the school board now and making a difference.
So that's the power of organization.
So it's easy for us
to say out of our mouths, Black Lives Matter. But what really matters is the resources. So we talked about the guys sitting on the porch. Could we have came and found some resources to get help for these people? If Black lives really do matter, put the resources in the community to help the community. Just recently, excuse me, I've been working all week, you guys. Just recently, Oliver Davis went up won for Democratic commissioner. So these are political education. It's the one thing that we have to educate ourselves on. Because if we're not getting people in these offices that actually has the power and also the mind to know that this community is sick right now. We've been plagued by the police for over 400 years. The felonies, you know, now these people are coming out from prisons and they can't even get jobs. So how is this fair? It's not. So we have to exercise our rights and vote, you guys. Vote people in the office that actually has the best interest at heart for us. And just support them. Support them. We have to get behind one candidate that we know will push our agenda. You see? If we get those people in these offices, then we can start getting things like better schools, better mental health resources, better rehabilitation centers. We have one alleged rehabilitation center here in South Bend that has been ineffective for many years. So, with just what this beautiful queen was saying, you guys get out there and vote as if your lives depend on it, because it does. It's important. Thanks.
You want to close with your product?
So yeah, it's getting hot, y'all.
So my voice is really hard. And,
oh, okay.
All that. Hey everybody, I'm Ray. I just want to quickly talk about prisons. I need to just remind all the white people in the audience that are watching at home. You know, mass incarceration disaffectively affects black people way more. I don't have the exact numbers on me, but it's really high. Also, we have legalized slavery in this country. Section 13 amendment, that's punishment for a crime. And Indiana Department of Corrections is one of the worst of all of the country. And particularly bad at Westville, which is just about a 2-hour drive that way, about an hour or so. And during the outbreak, they had about 92% of people infected. The virus doesn't come in through the prisoners, it's brought in through the guards. They were found to be admission free by not allowing their staff to have gloves, and not having masks. They quarantined a whole bunch of people inside a gym, and there was an uprising. Since then, well, they took all the people that were involved in it, threw them in solitary confinement, which is a form of torture. And then they beat the shit out of them, and restricted access to phone calls and anything from the outside world. Forcibly starved them, and this is just down the way. It's just right here, but it's hidden from view from everybody, right? I just want to let you guys know about an action that we're having. The IDOC Watch is a group that has been organizing for a very long time, trying to abolish prisons. And we're holding a rally on the 13th of June at Westville. You can follow IDOC Watch on Facebook for more information. I think that's all I have. I just want to say, fuck 12. Fuck 12.
I
We
do
got
have
two more.
one last very quick plug.
You want to come up too?
Can we?
Oh, go ahead. Can I get these two? Can you guys come up with the sign? So he's in here. Ethan brought up a really important and valid point. I don't want his point to go to waste. About dropping junk, being white, and not having shit done to you.
Do you have a t-shirt yet? T-shirt?
I've been standing over here for the last while, and also debating whether or not I was going to say this, but I have to say this because I cannot remain silent because it throws me under the bus. But when I was 21, you know, you turn 21, you discover alcohol, and at the time I had problems. You see the scars on my arms, okay? But I've gotten help, I'm better. But one evening I had a couple beers and got in my car and I decided to drive. And I was in the countryside, but I drove drunk. So I apologize as a member of your community because it could have been you, could have been you, could have been you. But, and here's the point. To my earlier mention of the myth of systemic racism and racial bias in policing, guess what? The officer that showed up to the scene, I flipped my car going 70 miles an hour. And I didn't have a scratch on me. You don't have no money. Okay? And guess what? I didn't get handcuffed. I got driven home in my dad's diesel truck. And get this, The officer was white. Okay? His Officer Smith, if you're watching this, you shouldn't have let me go. I mean, I didn't have 10 grand, I get it. But you shouldn't have let me go. So his name's Officer Smith. Guess what my family from Tennessee's last name is? Smith. It's not my last name. And it ends with me. I'm the youngest of my family. But I'll never forget watching my dad and his twin brother, they're good guys, talk to this officer in the street while my car's being flipped over and I'm just sitting there, watching it. And they come back to the car and I drive home scot-free. If I would have been black, who knows what happened? And I know that I understand that the news is here, that this is public, but if you're a white person and you have data like my story that disproves the myth of systemic racism in policing, speak out, even if it damns yourself. So again, I'm sorry, but that's just one more piece of data that goes to show that racial bias within policing is a thing.
Thank you.
Thanks so much. I know it's getting hot, and I won't take up too much of your time. My name's Rieti. I live just on Van Buren Street. I'm an anthropologist, and I'm very happy to see one of my students here. But I want to just remind everyone, these stories that we're hearing about children being policed in schools, about cops, targeting black people instead of white people, about white people getting off for things that black people would be in prison for. I want to remind everyone that this is not an accident. The system is not broken. The system works exactly as the system is supposed to work. It's not an accident. So, while these stories are shocking, they shouldn't be surprising.
Yes.
I'm not at all surprised to hear any of these. Because you and I I'm protected more by the police than many of you, but the police aren't here to protect our interests. The system, because the police are not here to protect our interests. The system is designed to protect the interests of capital. If we want environmental justice, we have to have economic justice. That's right. Because the system is here to protect the interests of those who own money, who own businesses, large corporations. lie. The examples again of the children being police in schools, the 5-year-old being put in handcuffs, the child who was not allowed to have a driver's license. They were specifically taught from a very young age